Now I'd like to address my dear friend Brian. My dear friend Brian calls himself the hero of the apostasy, and he has challenged me using various archaeological digs and archaeological discoveries against what I'm saying in the Torah, that the Torah is real and that the Torah is a true document. And he goes on and he gives me the same mush that I've seen from the so-called biblical scholars. And I've responded, and I want to be clear to my friends out there, and you can go ahead and present my thoughts to your professors. They will tell you that I'm just an old believing Jew that doesn't want to know any truth. Contrary to that, I believe they're a bunch of old fogies that they themselves don't want any truth. You see, if you looked in the Biblical Archaeological Review, there are two things that they keep on harping on regarding the accuracy of the Bible. Number one, the story of Rebecca at the well, the story of the camels. This is very important. Camels are the most important things in the Bible according to the archaeologists, because camels were not domesticated until 300 or 400 years later in Egypt or in other places, and therefore the story of Rebecca at the well had to be an anachronism, which means it was written hundreds of years later by somebody imagining what had happened. And I told you on the videos, and I've said this in print, it's not my chiddush, but Philip Bieberfeld discovered many artifacts exist depicting the domesticated camel many hundreds of years before the so-called domestication in either Egypt or Babylon, whatever the babbling Bible critics wants to say. These have been found on reliefs that are much older, and people are riding on camels, clearly indicating domestication. And therefore, my friends, on the contrary, the very fact that camels were not domesticated en masse, but only rarely by individuals, indicate just how wealthy Abraham must have been that he could send a servant with 10 camels. He didn't send them all of his camels. He sent a servant with 10 camels. And the fact that Isaac took notice when he saw camels coming, when Eliezer comes back with Rebekah, and Isaac sees camels in the distance, Isaac takes notice. Why does Isaac take notice? And why does Laban, Rebekah's brother, why does he run to see Eliezer with his 10 camels? Because, you see, camels were very rare. Because they were rare, that indicated the wealth of a man, that he could afford not just one camel, but to send the servants with 10 camels. That was unheard of. And Isaac took note of camels because they were also very rare. So when he saw camels coming, he paused and stopped. And then he realized these were his own camels, camels of his father that were given to him with his future bride, Rebecca, Rivka, on them. Also, my friend Brian, we've discussed the concept of Jericho, and in Biblical Archaeological Review, the writer states that if he were to pick the two items that are most troubling to him, besides the camels, is the story of Jericho, because Jericho could not have been captured by Joshua because the dates don't line up. So I wish to address this. Number one, the Torah does not give us any dates. I know that there are people out there going to say that I'm a heretic, that I don't believe in Seder Olam, I don't believe in the traditional calendar as it's been presented, and the answer is I don't. Not that I don't count by that calendar, but there are holes in what are called Seder Olam, and there are great scholars who have argued on Seder Olam. I don't say that Seder Olam is impossible, and I'm going to get stoned by people looking at it saying that I'm a heretic. No. Seder Olam is an approximation. Not all of Seder Olam is exact. And if it is exact, we have to find evidence that will answer certain major questions. And even though it may not be exact in the historical context, it is exact in Torah context. I will explain. Historical context deals with the history of the world. Torah configuration deals with the significant elements or the significant incidents, the significant generations of the Torah. These two things are not necessarily parallel. I know a lot of people would like to see them parallel. Those are people, you would call them right-wingers and so on and so forth, who have sticklers for detail and so on and so forth. It is conceivable that when the Torah identifies certain events in a certain order, that those are the events that the Torah says are significant. All other events that have transpired, either in between or before or after, are not significant and therefore not included in the Torah chronology. The Torah chronology is extremely precise in matters of Torah. The Torah